Welcome students. My name is Irfan Ahmed and today we are going to study about the topic that's transport across the cell membrane. Okay, in this topic we will study about how the transport of various substances takes place from outside of the membrane, from outside of the cell membrane or from outside of the plasma membrane to inside of the cell or from inside of the cell to outside environment, how the transport takes place. Okay, so this is the basic structure of the cell membrane. You can see from here, this is the structure of the cell membrane. Already we have discussed in the previous topics about the structure of the cell membrane. So you can see here the cell membrane is made up of various types of proteins and lipids. For example, there are glycoproteins, there are glycolipids, there are peripheral membrane proteins, there are integral membrane proteins, there is cholesterol, there are various channel proteins, there are various phospholipids, and the cell membrane, it is basically made up of phospholipid bilayer. Okay, and there are hydrophobic ends, there are hydrophilic ends, you can see from there. So we will study about the transport, how transport of substances occurs, and mainly we will study about how the transport of drugs or transport of medicines takes place across this cell membrane. So the topics which here we will discuss, the first one is that we will discuss about the passive transport, we will discuss about the osmosis, factors affecting diffusion, active transport and bulk transport. So these topics will be discussed here. So first, what the cell membrane is, I have already told in the previous lectures that a cell membrane, it is basically a protective barrier which protects the cell from the outside environment, which protects the cell from the various stress or various pressures which are from the outside environment. Okay, and this cell membrane is selectively permeable, means it permits or it allows the movement of certain molecules into the cell, while it does not allow the movement of some molecules into the cell. So it is selectively permeable. Some substances are allowed to enter into the cell, while some other substances, those are not allowed to enter into the cell. So that permeability or that permeability of the cell membrane, that defines, means which molecules will enter into the cytoplasm or which molecules will not enter into the cytoplasm, or which will remain inside the cell and which will be thrown outside of the cell. So that all is defined by the permeability of the cell. So cell permeability is important from the aspect that what will come inside the cell, what will go outside the cell, that all will be decided by the permeability of the cell membrane. Okay, so the cell membrane, it also contains a phospholipid bilayer. I already told you that cell membrane is made up of phospholipid bilayer. Okay, and there are hydrophilic ends, there are hydrophobic ends. Okay, so hydrophilic ends, what hydrophilic ends are? Hydro means water and philic means loving. So water loving heads, those face the inside, okay, and outside of cell. And hydrophobic tail, what it faces, it is in the middle, means hydrophilic end means hydrophilic water loving end. The heads, hydrophilic heads, those face inside and outside of the cell, while as the hydrophobic tail, which is water hating, or we can say that it is a lipid loving, it faces in the middle, it is in the middle. Okay, so only because of this phospholipid bilayer, certain materials can pass through the cell membrane, easily pass through the cell membrane. Okay, so this is what the cell membrane is, how its main function is the protection to the cell. Okay, so there are two types of transport which may occur through the cell membrane. One is passive transport, one is active transport. Passive transport means it does not need any energy, and active transport, it needs energy to carry or to transport any substance from one place to another. Okay, and the main difference is because of the energy required for the process. Okay, and these two processes, passive transport and active transport, why these occur? Because of the concentration gradients. Passive transport occurs because of concentration gradient, and active transport occurs also because of the concentration gradient. What is concentration gradient? So concentration gradient, it is the difference in the concentration of solutes between two areas. From one side it will be high concentration, from another side it will be low concentration. So that is called as concentration gradient, or we call it as a difference in the concentrations. Okay, so these two types of transports are very familiar across the cell membrane, passive and active. Okay, so we will now study about the passive transport. So passive transport is moving down a concentration concentration gradient. Okay, so in this passive transport, materials will move from high concentration and to low concentration, means materials will move from a place where there will be a high concentration of solutes to a place where there will be low concentration of solutes. Okay, and this passive transport, this process does not need any involvement of the energy, so no energy is needed in this. Okay, and it does not work against the concentration gradient, it works in concentration gradient, not against the concentration gradient. Means on one side there will be high concentration of molecules, while on another side there will be low concentration of molecules. Okay, and the movement of materials which takes place through passive transport, that is called as diffusion. Okay, now diffusion is also of two types, one may be simple diffusion and another is facilitated diffusion. Okay, when simple diffusion occurs, simple diffusion occurs when small hydrophobic non-polar molecules pass through membrane from high concentration to low concentration. And facilitated diffusion, it occurs, it involves the use of integral membrane proteins, which helps in the passage of larger molecules, or we can say that charged or hydrophilic molecules or polar molecules. Okay, so next is osmosis. What osmosis is when substance being transported is solvent. Osmosis means when the substance which is to be transported is solvent, not solute, means water, then the process is called osmosis. Here osmotic pressure is used. For example, I will give an example of osmosis. Main familiar example of osmosis is diffusion of water into and out of blood cells. Diffusion of water into and out of blood cells, and it depends upon the solution the blood is exposed to. For example, there are three types of solutions: isotonic, hypotonic and hypertonic. What is isotonic solution? Which has same concentration as another solution. What is hypotonic solution? Lower concentration as compared to another solution. While as hypertonic solution, it has higher concentration compared to another one. So this is the difference between isotonic, hypotonic and hypotonic. Okay, if we take the example of blood cells, okay, then in relation to the blood cells, I have given the examples of isotonic, hypotonic and hypertonic solutions. So you can see here from tonicity or osmolarity, here this is the semi-permeable membrane, this is urea molecule, this is water molecules. Now hypertonic solution, if you will put the cell in a hypertonic solution, what will happen? It will shrink. In isotonic solution, it will remain the same, while as in hypotonic solution, it will swell and then it will burst. Okay, so this is all because of the tonicity, or we can say that this is all because of the osmolarity. Okay, this is a simple experiment to determine these things. You have taken the urea molecule, you have taken the water molecules, there is a semi-permeable membrane, and you are putting the cells in it. Now, when the blood is exposed to isotonic solution, what happens? Because there is a concentration inside and outside the cell are same, so no transport will occur. And when blood cells are exposed to hypotonic solution, what will happen? The tendency for water, that is to move from the outside to inside of cell will expand and a maximum water capacity will be achieved, and it will lead to bursting of the cell, which is called as plasmoptosis. Okay, this is plasmoptosis, which it happens in hypotonic solution. If we put a blood cell in hypotonic solution, then what happens? Plasmoptosis, and this is the bursting of the cell. Another term is plasmolysis, means when you expose the cell to hypertonic solution, it causes the water from inside of the cell to move out of the cell, and it causes the cell to shiver, which is called as plasmolysis. Okay, so what force is behind all this process? That is osmotic pressure. Now, what are the various factors which affect the diffusion? Diffusion can affect the various factors can affect the diffusion. For example, concentration is there, temperature is there, ionic or molecular size is there, shape of ion, molecule or viscosity. Okay, so greatly the diffusion is affected by concentration. Okay, the larger the difference in the solute concentrations of two areas, what it is directly proportional, so faster will be the rate of diffusion. Okay, and temperature also affects rate of diffusion. For example, if we increase the temperature of the system, it will increase the kinetic energy, which is due to the motion. Okay, so so since the materials are moving faster, diffusion will also occur at a faster rate. Size will it will also depend upon size, shape of ion. Okay, and also it will depend, we can say that larger molecules like for example starch, proteins, these do not diffuse across the cell membranes. For example, on the other hand, we can say that the shape of the ion or molecule that can either facilitate, that can either prevent its faster diffusion. Larger molecules will not be transported easily, while a small molecules will be transported easily. Okay, and there are some channel proteins which provide an aqueous passage, diffusion through channel, and these don't require any energy. And hydrophobic interior passage is there, open or closed gated channels. Okay, so viscosity of solution that affects the rate of diffusion also. Viscosity means the uh, internal tendency to resist the flow of a liquid. For example, we can say that honey is more viscous than water, because water does not has that much power to resist itself. So more viscous fluids that will tend to diffuse slower. The viscosity, higher the viscosity, lower will be the diffusion, and lower the viscosity, higher will be the diffusion. Okay, so that is all for the today. In next topic we will study, we will continue the transport across cell membrane, and that was all for today's lecture. Thank you.